over medium? I'll try the baked potatoes. Please. Could I have a side of salad? I'm gonna get the berry scone. You're gonna get a cookie.
I'm going to get to know these people so that when something special happens, then I can go and talk to them.
Right.
And that won't be breakfast and doodle.
Is that your ADD idea of the day?
Yes. Oh,
Should we
okay.
talk
So
about
speaking of ADD, so I'm ADHD. So there's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
I have both. Is one of the reasons why I can't sit. I've noticed if you take a video of me working throughout the day, you'll see me get up. The limit, I will get 75-90% finished with something, and I will switch off and go do something else, and then I'll make myself sit down and go, oh my gosh, I only have to do this much more. I do it all that. I'll write emails. Blah 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 blah, and then all I have to do is the sign off. And I will get up and go do something else. And then I'll come back later and I'll start something else on the computer. And then I'll realize that I had this email that I started.
And then your brain thinks you already sent it, so you think you sent something to somebody, right? Because you wrote it and your brain checks it off. That's what my brain does.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get so stuck in the email that I go down and I just do the salutation. I'm like the opposite of you. I go do the salutation. I mean the sign off.
Yeah.
And then I and then I have to come back and fill in, the in between. It's like, all right, I've committed, now I have to fill it up.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something. Do you do that even when you're fully engaged in what you're actually doing? Or only tasks that you're not engaged in? Because I have the same issue when I'm not engaged. If I'm fully engaged, I have the hyper-focus, right? Because we can hyper-focus. And it will go for a long, long time because it takes so long to get into that groove.
It's always a struggle with me.
Then you should be doing
It's like
something
getting
else.
lost on the freeway or getting lost getting somewhere. I'll find myself at the end, but I don't know how I got there because I'm thinking about other things. Some people call it checking out or meditative or whatever, but I think that's on a small scale a problem that I have. You don't see it because we've accomplished big things like marriage and having kids and running businesses, couple of businesses, because you just see what's happened, but you don't see it's a struggle to get not only day-to-day things done from here to there, but also big things. I'm not saying that we don't do a good job, but I also believe that we could have saved money or had a better budget, or we could have done better. Or
what about just the toll on yourself and your body and your,
exactly.
and your mind and your...
It's mentally and physically
exhausting. It's exhausting just to get through the day sometimes, even when it's not an accomplished, like a task-heavy day or whatever.
Yes.
Like that.
I also feel it's a no-go a lot of times. So
it's a freeze response. I have a freeze response when I get overloaded and overwhelmed, and I've noticed that as I get older, my freeze response is much stronger. Like, I never had a freeze response before, and maybe it's a self-protection thing that my body's kind of kicking in, because it's like, no, this body doesn't trust you anymore because you have pushed it to past the limit.
Yes.
Because when I was younger, I would just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
But now it's not like, oh, I'm old and I'm tired and I'm like, no, I mean, it's a different, I feel the difference in my brain, and this is actually one of the reasons I quit my job. I couldn't think the way that I normally did, and because of the way that the tasks, it was so task-oriented, and I love a good task list. I love checking things off. Who doesn't love the hit, that hit of checking something off? I couldn't think creatively, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta detox. Like, this is not my brain. This is not me. This is not who I am. And I was having so much anxiety because of it that all I wanted to do was check out because I was not engaged. When I'm engaged, I can go for hours and hours and hours because it takes so long to get through like that top layer of frenetic energy and get into like sort of the meditative creative space of it that I don't want to get out. Maybe I can get up and, you know, walk around a minute, but I don't want to release. And I know that that's a hyper focus, which when harnessed in the right direction for the, you know, it's very useful. It was like I couldn't hold my attention for more than 3 minutes. Like that's bad. And because it created like a fear trigger in me, because as soon as I would start getting, like I literally felt like my brain was getting split in half. Like I just used the word literally, which I hate that, but that's how it felt.
Any big thanks?
Oh, those are my, thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you so much.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I got that breakfast before and it's amazing.
I actually want to move on to.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that it can be overcome. Okay, so
We find coping mechanisms, but sometimes the coping mechanisms take so much energy that you're just exhausted. Have you ever thought about medication?
I don't want to do medication, but well, yes, I thought of it. Obviously, there are times where I do talk to myself and I say, or sometimes I talk out loud, and I say, do something like stop it. You know, as I'm like a little bumblebee, just zooming around the apartment or at work or this or that. And at work, it was, I should say, when I had my business, it was great because I was interrupted all the time. It was like every couple of minutes there's a new thing, and it wasn't exciting. It was just seemed normal to me. And I read somewhere that a very high percentage of people who are creative have ADD.
Sure.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I want to talk to other artists and ask them, were you able to do just that? Because I find that the ones that have a lot of artwork, that sell a lot, who have stores, online stores, who have Instagram accounts with lots of followers, maybe organically or not, doesn't matter. They do the same thing. And I thought, wow, if I had just stuck to one thing, be a graphic designer, be a photographer, paint this way, paint that way, make jewelry, whatever it has been, sewing. Oh my God, I look back at my life and I think I have tried everything, but never. Hi there.
He agrees.
Okay, so why didn't you? My question that led to all this conversation: why didn't you do the job?
Why, you mean like why haven't I been looking?
Both.
I think your question was have you been looking?
Yeah.
Which is such a loaded question.
Yes,
because yes and no. I had this experience like the day before you asked me that. I had been updating my resume. I really have to create a better relationship with a resume because they all feel like absolute bullshit. I've seen people who are crap that I've seen their resume. Like
yes.
I've seen.
Let's talk about resume.
Yeah, and I didn't see their resume first. I worked with them first, and I was like, "What is up with this person?" And then I looked at the resume, and I was like, "The resume makes them look like a rock star." I mean, whoever wrote this person's resume, where I was like, "I want that person to write my resume because I'll look like the creative, the creative director of the world." But yeah, and that guy got fired because he couldn't perform, and it's just this huge disconnect. And now with the internet, people, and like AI and searches and data, mining and all the correct words in your resume, it's just this game.
We all do it. We all data mine. Every time you go into Google and you type in whatever.
But like if your resume doesn't have the exact right term, do you remember we used to just like call a place and go in there and meet somebody, and if like you vibed with them and they liked your book or whatever, and like you could start working. It is it is wild right now. It is wild, and you can apply for job after job after job, and it just goes into this big black hole. I mean, graphic designers are a dime. That doesn't. I can't even say a dime a dozen right now. You know, and they're not. I don't even want to use the term graphic designer.
Do you feel like we've never been really respected?
I don't know. I remember you saying that to me a long time ago, that you thought we were kind of like the minions. And I thought, really? Because I thought we were like the rock stars. But that was because I wasn't slinging hash anymore. You know, it wasn't
Well, think about it.
interesting anymore.
Even a show like Mad Men.
Yeah.
You never saw the graphic designer.
It's true. Well, you saw that one guy who did, you know, he was like a true, you know, he would do the comps, like the marker comps and all that.
Yeah, but he didn't. That's it.
They didn't.
Really
You're right.
him.
You're right. They were, yeah.
Because he had his sleeves rolled up. He wasn't wearing a suit.
Yeah.
My uncle, Jerry, was a graphic designer. He graduated from the art center. And he was, in all accounts, very successful. He had a very...
I don't think I knew this. All this time, I don't think I knew that. If I knew it, I don't know how I forget it, but...
that was one of the reasons why I thought of becoming a graphic designer. Because getting a degree in art was not an option. One of the reasons why he was really successful was because that was the era where, just a blip in history, where graphic designers were very respected. And they did have sort of a Mad Men kind of respect. And they did, but it's also the era, right? Mm-hmm. They all dressed. I could picture him at the table, even if his sleeves were rolled up, he did wear a tie. Mm-hmm. And they did dress up, but everybody did. Everybody dressed up to go to work.
I think now most people are in their pajamas on the computer working. And I think that that's okay to a degree, but I started wondering, like, how does that impact your psyche about, like, what you're doing? I started actually missing going into work because of, you know, it's like a second family. It's like you have friends there if you have a place that you like working. So anyway, the resume thing, I started doing it, and I'm like, fine. I put my last job on there. And I'm like thinking, I need to just redo the whole thing. Like, that pains me to say. I can maybe take the words, but I just want a fresh start. And then I started looking at my portfolio online, and I'm like, I don't even want to put anything that I did for the last 5.5 years. Because guess what? I don't want to do that kind of work. So then I think I need to scrap everything and just go, fuck it. Whoever responds to that is where I belong. Anyway, I'm in the middle of all that right now. And I've kind of, you know...
Do you know what you want to do?
I've applied for some jobs. Well, I want to do 100 things. I want to bake. I want to do real stuff. I want to,
but in design,
save dogs.
What's your style? What do you? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like graphic design.
Within graphic design,
I kind of just quit that, but I'm coming back around, and I'm doing the same thing you are. I'm looking through all my design work and going, how did I get here?
Right. We're all just dirty little whores, Miyuki.
I'm not a dirty whore. I'm just a whore.
So yeah, I don't know what my style is right now. I will have to sit and rediscover myself. I kind of know it's rustic. I think it's just going. I'm like, I gotta go back to my roots. I gotta go back to doodling.
Yeah. I don't know at what point did you show me this, but you did little sunflower drawings and you did packaging
for this Rolling Sonoma package, the sun tea package. Yeah.
That's what I pictured.
Yeah. It's gotta have to do with nature for sure. It's a little rustic, California provincial. Like, that's when I was baking. That's the style I wanted to do, and that's also maybe my design style. Maybe that's just kind of, I have to like brand myself within myself before I can present myself. I don't want to like jump through hoops and do all these tricks to just have a job doing those things. I want to do what I want to do. To literally detox for 6 months from that job. Even physically, I've had to go to acupuncture and chiropractor and work on my shoulders and my spine and my neck because I was all crunched up, you know.
What's your process? I hate that word. How are you moving toward getting a job?
Looking around online, I've seen some interesting jobs. I've applied to a few. But then at the same time, I look at my portfolio and, you know, you get that, like, I don't know, does everybody get a feeling of dread when they look at their portfolio and just go, oh my gosh, how is somebody else going to see this? Like, I know what happened behind the scenes here, but how is it received?
Mine is panic. I don't feel dread, but mine is panic. And then it goes back to that ADHD thing where somewhere halfway, 2/3 of the way of redoing my resume, I just quit. It's almost as if why bother?
You know what I did? I totally understand that. I finally forced myself. It took like 2 weeks of going, I gotta do my resume, and I'm like, damn it, if I just would open the freaking file, you know, it was 90% of it just opening the file.
That's you, but I couldn't finish.
Right, see, we're a good team. You can start things and I can finish them.
I'll start it.
And I'll finish. But it has literally taken me this long to physically detox. Like I mean shake it out. Like literally move my body and just get things going again. Like I'm feeling like myself again, and now it's been about 8 months.
Seems like yesterday. We learned about how to name things.
Like demos.
Why you needed to name, what was the difference between RGB and CMYK? And to this day, I still think people don't understand the difference between CMYK and RGB and HSB. And why you should round out your numbers. It's not so hard now because we're talking about terabytes and gigabytes. But back then, when we were still talking megabytes, it was really important. But not only that, but the graphics card and the processors. If you had something that was size 78.051, that was like a huge deal for the processor. Now people
are very sloppy.
Use the arms
1,000 layers. 1,000 layers. It's like, bitch, go back and learn Photoshop without layers, and then you'll have respect for layers.
Oh my god, yeah.
We were doing
when I had Clearside Design, we had Mattel, and they wanted us to do something very, very simple. So I gave an estimate. Can I just interject here? I hate estimates.
Oh, no kidding.
What the fuck is an estimate? And then the clients, like, they hold you to it. No, it's called an estimate.
Right.
This is not the bill.
You didn't tell me that, you know, you needed...
Yeah. So they sent over the files. And this is back when Illustrator had just started having layers. Maximum layers you could have in a file was 99 layers. And one of the drawings had 99 layers times 3. So we had to get a software that would parcel them together. And then they didn't label any of the layers because you don't. This is why I told all of you to name your layers.
Etiquette, people. Etiquette.
So it would say layer 1 through whatever. And then I had to click on and off each layer to figure out, even if you touched, you know how you could do, I don't know what the key command was, command something and then the arrow and it would show you which layer you were on.
Oh yeah.
I had to do that with each one to figure out what
I've had to do that too.
Yeah,
I've had to do that.
And I clumped them together, put them into folders. As I did with a lot of Clearside jobs, boy did I learn. It was I learned too slowly, but I learned so much.
You don't learn
lost
slowly.
Tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars because of not understanding the software. The client's not understanding, but I felt like it was my job to teach them. So I'm going to bring up something that, not to be disparaging or anything, but because I might be one of them, but I'm just going to say it. I feel like a lot of creative people that are successful, and again I say successful in quotes,
Right.
but creative, successful people, especially in the fine arts, they have money. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I feel like because you don't have to get a job. I don't know your financial situation as far as like, did they pay you when you quit? Usually when you quit, you don't pay.
No.
But
I tried to get laid off.
You tried to get laid off.
I did. They were laying off all kinds of people, and I tried to get laid off, but
How'd you do that?
I just went to HR and I said, I want to be laid off. I don't want to get stuck on that, but
Yeah, okay, so I go into this office. I can't remember what it was for, but I do remember it was in a lobby, and then they moved me into this office that had not very good art. It was bad. I'll just say it because we don't know who it is. It's really bad art, and when I say bad, I mean you can just see that they put no thought into it. They didn't put any time into it. It was just large, a lawyer's office, so it was a shared office space. I asked somebody something, and they said, "Oh yeah, that is Mr. So-and-so, and his son or daughter is an artist, and apparently she's doing really well because of him." So he puts these gigantic pieces of shit on the wall, and him and his associates and his clients who have money see the art. Yeah, my daughter told that. Instead of selling it for $200, she probably sold it for $20,000. She's a successful artist.
the same thing like that was, there's similar story is that my son worked at this restaurant, which shall remain nameless right now, but it's in the valley, and it has a bowling alley in it. It's a nice restaurant. The art on the walls is absolute crap. It doesn't match the theme of the restaurant. It doesn't, color scheme, nothing. The palette, there's nothing about it. It looks just like so out of place. And when they had their opening, I asked, is this temporary art? Like, is it just something they have on the walls? Like, that's how bad it was. And then I think it was some kind of same story. It was like, oh, the owner's niece or something chooses all the art, or she knows, or she is the artist, or she knows somebody who's the artist, or something like that. And I just thought, well,
that's money in an indirect way, but I also feel like I'll be self-deprecating. I don't have cash money, but I have money forever, indefinitely. But it's not an emergency. And I think in a good and a bad way is where I am. So I don't have to rush out and get a graphic design job.
That's when you find the better jobs, because you're not like, when you go back to law of attraction, you don't have that energy about you, that like, sort of, not desperate, I hate to use the word desperate, but the really needing. Like every time I really needed to get out of a place and I'm trying to find another job somewhere else, it's like I have that energy on me at the place I'm working that is just icky.
But see, I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm not generating good stuff in a timely manner because I feel like I don't have to. You know, the art on the walls. What kind of stuff?
Your art?
But that's taken me years.
Well, that's okay. Art takes years. What do you mean?
Like, I don't know. I'm just saying it's self-deprecation.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I remember you
logic.
prefaced it with that.
It doesn't have logic. But I'm posing the question, do you think that if you really, it was an emergency, like you really need a job now, that you would have one right now?
I would literally work in a restaurant.
Would your soul be crushed?
I would literally work in a restaurant before I would work at a graphic design job.
See, that's what I wanted to know. Me too.
Okay, here we go.
I kind of feel like I would rather work at the UPS store. I was thinking about it. I don't know. It's like graphic design just doesn't have the
panache that it used to.
Yeah.
I have actually applied for jobs at bakeries because I have my commercial baking, professional baking certificate, but even those are kind of hard, they want you to apply online. I don't have experience in that yet. I would have to stage, which means, basically intern, like work for almost free to learn. A lot of places just, they want you to be the right fit and they'll train you if you have some experience and passion for it. But I also was kind of between if I'm going to live in LA or Orange County. And I kind of thought, well, wherever I land a job is where I'll live. But I'm rethinking all that right now too. It's funny too because I have been an art director, but I have it written on my thing, but I feel like some people are able to just write whatever they want on their resume and they're just okay with it. Like they don't feel any kind of self-conscious way about saying creative director. Well, no everybody guilt. Can be a creative director in their own freaking living room, you know what I mean? Like, but to say and take that on, I feel like you really have to be able to back that up.
It used to mean something.
It used to mean something.
Yes, and I remember at one time when I was applying for jobs as an art director or a creative director, I came off of running a company. When you made coffee and emptied the trash in the morning, and then at night you were there at 2 a.m. with the IT guy trying to figure out why this.
You did everything. You have the highest echelon of titles.
Couldn't get a job.
That's insane.
Couldn't get a job. I told you, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Like 2 years.
Yeah, I remember.
I felt like trying to find a job was a full-time job.
Do you remember? And do you think it's also because of our age? Because I remember.
Not back then.
Huh?
Not back then.
When was back then? 2000 something? I just feel like it used to be really easy to get work.
No, I'm talking about as an art director or.
Well, I do think that the older we get, the more experience we have, the more of us there are. If like not a lot of people have dropped off in the field, there's more competition for these jobs, of course. But I also think that younger people. I don't know. Do you think younger people?
I don't think I could ever get a job again. I did have a corporate style job before I got laid off during COVID. But maybe that was a good thing. Maybe that was the universe looking out for all the people who had jobs where they thought it was good, but maybe it's not really what they wanted to do. I don't think I could ever work at a corporate style graphic design.
Same. I'm never going to work in a house again unless it's an absolutely separate entity of its own.
What about having your own design company, your own design firm?
I don't think I could do that. I used to want to do that like 20 years ago, like back a long time.
Why? What's the biggest reason why you don't?
If I were going to have my own business, I would want it to be something else, not something where I have to do what clients want. I would want to just do graphics and, whatever, sell them on t-shirts. If somebody buys it, that's great. If they don't have to buy it. Like, I don't want to answer to anybody else anymore. I'm done with that. And I know it sounds elitist or whatever, and everybody wishes they didn't have to, but I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck that shit. No. I don't want to do that.
When they call that fine art, it would be called fine graphics. I'm just going to design this stuff, and
if you want to buy it, buy it.
Exactly. Yeah. Fine art.
I'll get my uncle to hang it in his office.
Yes, it'll be $1,000 for that logo.
That doodle. Speaking of doodling, should we get doodling? All right.
Did you see my finished?
No. I feel bad. I'm so sorry that I didn't.
Call it the Nemophilist.
The what?
A Nemophilist or Nemophilist. It's a person who loves forest and the greens.
Oh.
Because remember we were talking about the terrarium, and my doodle was inspired by a terrarium.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I finished it.
Oh, your paper is warm. It's like a warm white.
Yeah. I don't like that book, but I'm going to use it anyway.
Oh yeah, your last one had like just a couple.
I named Vlogcast or whatever you want to call it. Everyone loves an alliteration.
Oh,
because that was the running theme through the whole thing.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
I have this pen too. This is Pentel, which is a Japanese company as well. Did you know that?
Pentel is?
Pentel.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. Look how fine the line can be.
Wow, it looks like a thread. It looks like a little thread.
Thank you. You know what I haven't done in a while? Huh. Is a tree.
Your pants are on fire. Liar, liar.
I always try to find a different way to do a tree each time. I like the idea of a tree. Is that hot cocoa? It's mine.
I think we have a
Took the
number.
number. By the time it gets here, it's going to be
Go.
See? There you go. Another alliteration.
Coco.
Ooh. Maybe I have to have cocoa everywhere I go. Cocoa and creative. No. Doodling. Done deal.
Done.
So what else do you want to bash about graphic design?
Oh my god.
It sounds like we're bashing.
It does sound like it, but I think it's just our
We're too old.
frustration. I know. I'm like, does this sound like outdated?
We're totally
Does it sound-
jilted.
I mean, yeah, we're dated. Obviously,
We're
dated
jilted
ourselves.
graphic design career people.
I think that a lot of people share the same frustration, though. The same frustrations, even younger people. I think that, with the job and everything, I think that's why a lot of them probably just take any job that they can get. I mean, maybe that's what you do in the beginning anyway. I just got really lucky. What do you? Getting hired with 3060.
So sweet.
I did. I mean, obviously luck gets you maybe in sometimes, but then you have to, prove yourself too. But just getting in. Well, that's what I could talk about too. Is like, I don't know, stories. Everybody has a story about how they got hired in their first job or whatever. But I literally saved a piece of paper for 10 years, I think. 10 years, I saved a piece of paper that had Henry Viscara and his phone
you told
number
me
on it.
this.
And it was on a piece of paper that had 90 degrees. It didn't even have 3060. It was before 3060. So my dad lived in a loft building in downtown LA back in the day. And he lived across from Scott Hensel. Remember Scott Hensel? He remembers.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so anyway, he would assist for Scott Hensel sometimes, and then Henry was over there one time, and he was talking. He was like, "Yeah, my daughter this, my daughter that," and I'm sure Henry was probably like, "It was so nice of Henry to give him a piece of paper with his phone number on it." Like literally, he didn't have to do that. He's some random guy talking about his daughter. I had no schooling at that time, so it was like that. And I put that piece of paper in some folder and I kept it. Like somehow, see, that's like, I'm weirdly organized sometimes and I'm weirdly unorganized, like within my, it's a very strange thing. So when I did finish school, I was like 26 or 27. And I pulled that piece of paper out and I called 3060. How was it the same number even? Because that was the 90 degree. It was on the 90 degree station.
Yeah, but now you know that people keep their numbers locked.
Yeah, but it just seemed like how did he get that number and not? Who was it? Dave.
Yeah. We found out in the end that wasn't the creative one.
Well,
Remember when they split?
yeah.
And then everybody went with David, and then after they split, soon after, everybody realized it was Henry that was the creative one.
Wow.
Henry was the quiet one who just kind of did the design. Where's my hot cocoa? I'll bet you that was my hot cocoa.
So, yeah, I called and Peekaboo was working the desk. Remember Peekaboo? Lisa?
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I said, well, my dad, I like literally talked about like how my dad knew Scott Hensel and I wanted to get an interview. And so she put me through to you, I think. So yeah, and then you hired me and that was it. I had gone on one other interview before that, and so thank God I didn't get that because I'm working with you guys. And having friends for, 30 years? It's literally been 30 years.
Yeah, but you would have made friends with them.
Not with those people.
Really?
There were only 2 people. It was
History of 3060 at that time was pretty special.
yes. Yeah, I think so.
I'd like to think that part of it was because of me.
I know the chemistry of the place, the people that were there right before me. It was, you know, you would hear stories about people right before. Every segment of time has its own chemistry.
That's true.
And what you're saying is that particular time after I came was a really good time. And I think it was. And then when I left, it had changed a lot. Like, you had already gone. I think did Vu already go?
Vu left soon after because it was just time to go, and Vu had a new line which Henry thought he stole, but not really. Hello, he's right back in the dark room over there, conducting business, of course. Yeah. So anyway, but I just think it was time, and I think Vu mentioned something like, when I left, it kind of opened the door. Because I think I left, and then Vu left soon after, and then somebody else.
I left soon after that because
you
I had
did.
Leah. And then I was working with you a little bit after that.
That's true.
That was awesome. I mean, it was rough to go driving down with a baby like that, but it was also awesome that, you know, we had our kids there in a different room, and we were there, and we were able to interact with them.
Yeah, what happened? How come it didn't keep happening or go on?
Well, I got pregnant with twins.
Oh, that's right.
And then I actually came back and worked for you a little bit, and it was great, and you were paying me really well, but it was stressful on family, I guess I should say it that way.
So what do you?
I didn't have the support that I should have had at home to continue doing that, and I wish that I did. That was really fulfilling. Like 3 days a
what would
week.
have happened, right? If that had continued, like maybe we would have had our own.
We would have. We probably would have, because we wouldn't have had. It would have been me, not Dan. Or was Dan already there?
I don't know, but remember I told you it took so long for me. I wanted it to be his idea that he was leaving, because I didn't have the heart to. Did you know that he passed away?
You told me that. I still can't believe that.
From heart.
Oh, God. He was young.
60 or 63? But the way he ate,
Oh, sorry.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but even with like Salvador, I think back on like what he ate, but honestly, maybe it was just stress.
Stress can
I really feel
wreak
like
havoc
that
on so many body systems, you know?
That was definitely. I really truly believe that the cause for Salvador was stress.
That's the other thing. Feeling all that stress, I'm like, I'm not 27, I'm 57, and I can't be like feeling all the stress all day, sitting in a chair. Like, for me, if you feel stress, you need to be moving your body. That's what you're supposed to do when you feel stress. I mean, that's the like physiological.
It's fight or flight, right?
Yes, exactly.
And if you're not flighting,
right,
then you're stewing in all that really bad.
And then now there's also it's freeze or fawn. So
it's called what?
Freeze. It's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
What's fawn?
Fawning is maybe not necessarily in the moment when you're feeling stress over certain things, but it's a way to cope with stress. Like I tend to be a fawner, I've realized, because if you deal with a person that is stressed out that you need to help bring down, you start fawning over them. Like, you know, fawning, like, what do you need? How can I help?
Okay.
Fawning, like, yeah.
Freezing is bad. I call it stewing.
Yeah.
It's just not natural to sit there and
No.
be stressed out. And that's why I feel like there were times in my life when I was super stressed out, and I would go and go somewhere and scream, literally scream.
It's so good to do that.
I know. I remember when I was
release.
17 or 18,
I worked at a restaurant called Coco. I went into the refrigeration
freezer, yep.
system. Did I tell you that story?
No, everybody does that.
And I screamed.
Everybody goes into the fridge.
And apparently I screamed so loud because it's pretty thick. Those and they heard me.
No way.
And they all came running in and they wanted to know if I was okay. And I when I was 18, I was all of but 100 pounds and sweet and cute and quiet and shy and all of the
things a little girl's
Asian
supposed
American
to be,
girl, yes.
right?
And so when they heard that, they
were
couldn't
like,
believe it was from me.
Wow. I learned that from a boss of mine. She would go into the fridge and scream. So we go into the fridge or the freezer. Yeah, the freezer's a little dicey. Maybe you don't want to do that.
Well, I don't know. I say I'm going to go back and get a design job. But
Yeah, you did say that recently. You said I didn't know if you meant a design job or a barista job. Because honestly,
I think one of the reasons why graphic design used to be, I don't know what the word for it is, rewarding, romantic, whatever it was, is because you used to be able to make really good money.
Yeah,
if you
people
asked for it.
right now, a lot of jobs that are just sort of basic design jobs are the same amount of money that we were making in the late 90s. It's like, how has that,
Really?
don't you see $35 an hour a lot?
Oh yeah.
Like for regular jobs? Yeah. But that was like a freelance fee in the 90s, right?
You're right. Because,
I remember
I
making
looked at a
35.
freelance. I just looked at my 2024 last year's taxes, or what do you call it, those W-2 forms they send to you. And you're right. I was making $30 an hour
I mean, that's just
with my own
disgusting.
stuff because it was remote. That's unheard of, right? So yeah, I don't even know if I want to do freelance because
That's what I'm
$30 an hour, I could just go work at. You can make $20 an hour working at McDonald's.
Jack brought home $500 in tips one night from his bartending job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I could.
I mean, seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah, there you go.
I like to do trees because you don't really have to think that. There's no right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I do try to do something different about a tree, draw a tree differently than I've drawn before. Because, I don't know, maybe just because I'm an illustrator, because I've heard people say, oh, I want to draw a tree. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Trees are like the
Trees are like
easiest
clouds.
to
You can
draw.
just...
Any shape you want. And so I had a doodle class where we did do a tree, and we put hearts inside the trunk area.
Oh.
And then I made them do.
Wait, you said you had a doodle class?
Yeah, this was a while ago.
Oh, wow.
So I had doodle classes for a long time.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, but I made them draw it the opposite. So you know how you look at a tree like your hand or your arm? So it starts out big, and gets smaller, and then all the way to fingertips. Yeah, and so I made them do the opposite.
Wow.
Where the tree was small at the bottom and got bigger, and as the branches came out, they were like inverted triangles.
Wow.
It was really fun because in that
a
way,
good brain exercise.
yeah, and then that way it wasn't so stressful. If you tell people to draw things like the way they see it, they just freak out. So, but if you make them do something different, then it's so much easier. All right, you've convinced me.
What?
I'm not getting a graphic design job.
Oh.
I don't know. I just can't stomach it.
Well, I mean,
Or
it doesn't mean don't try. If
I'll
you get
do
like
what
a
you
good
are
one.
doing. I'm just gonna say this is how much I want.
It's called a fuck you price. That's what a realtor told me the
It's
other
called
day.
a what?
A fuck you price. Like a realtor told me, they go, sometimes we just slap a fuck you price on there. Like, this is what we want. Like, we're not trying to be competitive on the market. This is what you actually want.
Yeah.
And if you get it, that's great. If you don't, no big deal, because you're not really desperate
Fuck
to
you.
sell your house. Because fuck you, yeah.
He is one of the few
people that I know who has wanted to be an artist his whole life.
Really?
So he never had a problem with, oh, I wish I did this and oh, I wish I did that. But he told me once that he doesn't have, he's the one that said it, and I agree, that he doesn't have a passion.
He doesn't have a goal in mind to be rich or famous or whatever. He says it's more of a compulsion. He has to do.
That's how I feel like real writers and real, I shouldn't say the word real, but because people make their living on it, they don't. But people who are really, really like, it's a compulsion. So I'm trying to figure out right now the difference between a compulsion and a passion.
A passion this is just
Defined by Miyuki.
a passion to me is when it becomes overwhelming and can be destructive. A compulsion is just more like a numbing pain.
Passion is the action. Passion is
it's just a pure
behind.
action.
That's perfect. I feel like I just had the action and not the emotion behind it.
Really?
Yes.
I feel like I have a lot of the emotion.
So you have passion.
So again, I'm the finisher. You're the starter and I'm the finisher. We're like an egg. One of us is the yolk and one of us is white. Well, I guess I'm white. And I guess you're the
Yes. I nutrify it, and then you create it, and the surrounding, and then the shell, and then ta-da! There's the egg. My passion is
starting project.
Traveling. Do you know that it's not even a destination? I love the whole idea of traveling. I get giddy just packing an overnight bag.
I will just hit the road and not know where I'm going. And it drives other people crazy. I'm like, what? This is fun. This is the same.
Okay, so that's my passion. So the only reason why I thought of van life and traveling across America and doodling is because I wanted to have
Doodle America.
I wanted to have a goal.
Yeah.
Like traveling and seeing America is not enough. There's always have to pack everything on. There's always got to be multiple. Why is that?
Is that your compulsion? So the passion would be the trouble and the compulsion would be everything other stuff to it, because it's not like you feel like you have to have a purpose for this maybe and just enjoy traveling.
Sure, maybe.
You really just need to feel the scratch of a pen and pencil on the desk. You know?
I know. Okay. So we're done? Okay, finish this another time.
That's cool. That's pretty beautiful. Not like I'm judging your doodle, but that is very beautiful. Bye.